Hey, this is a Guellaty production. It's not always easy to spot a disruptor. The best ones are those who are constantly innovating and are driven by a mission, but what they do is only revealed as disruptive over time as they make their mark, often permanently changing an entire industry. Cultural disruptors rise from the underground and mingle with the mainstream until their voices become the new normal. This episode is part of a 3-part series that focuses on creative people who are quietly changing not only their industry, but Arab culture as a whole. My guest today is a Tunisian journalist. She's the founder and editor-in-chief at Mille, a digital platform dedicated to Arab youth culture, fashion, and beauty. Please welcome Sofia Guellaty. Hi, Sofia.
Hi, Nadia. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So let's talk about Arab culture. You've said in previous interviews that Arab culture is having a proud moment, which I do think it is, but you've also said it's underrepresented. What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's underrepresented on global platforms. Of course, you don't see many Arab actors, singers, models, artists, etc. But it's also underrepresented in our own country, which is even more surprising. For the longest time, if you remember, the covers of our magazines were people from Europe and the US. So that was for me, that was very surprising growing up, and I wanted to do something about it.
Yeah, and you ended up being the editor of Style.com Arabia, of course.
Yeah.
And then you founded Mille in 2018. But what happened to Style Arabia or Style.com?
Style.com Arabia was Condé Nast's first venture in the Middle East. So they wanted to test the market with this online platform that was like a sort of fashion Bible for the fashion lovers. And then when it turned out to be a great project, then they decided to launch Vogue Arabia with the same company on the back of Style.com. On the international level, Style.com was merged into Vogue. So what you know now as Vogue Runway is actually the Style.com team merging with the Vogue teams.
I see. Just to go back to your point, though, I was just doing some research today. If you say that you'd like to see more Arab representation on the international stage, in a way, it got me thinking, though, if only 4% of the US population identifies as Middle Eastern, I mean, how many Arabs do you want to see in the American version of Vogue or in US film? Because if all the cultures start to mix and like marbleize, then, for example, what's the purpose of having a Vogue Arabia if Vogue America already has a lot of Arabs? You see what I'm saying? If you want to keep the flavor of a certain of the culture of a country, you kind of have to preserve it, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. I never claimed I wanted an Arab. I don't want Nancy Ajram on the cover of Vogue US. I don't think it would. I don't think it's the point. Actually, my point is to stop looking at the US for validation. You know what I mean? You don't have to have this sort of like publication cover you for you to become an international fixture. I think that it's actually the opposite. I think that we need to shine brighter when you look at, for example, all the music. We have so much to offer, and mainly we listen to European and American music. Of course, here in the region, we listen to a lot of Arab music, but you see the same thing happen for South American music. It was only South American, and then what's their name, Maluma, and all of those guys, or Shakira. They made South American music thrive on the international level, and this is what I wish for our region. Actually, I make a conscious effort not to look, to the other markets for validation. And what I try to do in my job and in my life is try to shine, from where I am, and not to try to go somewhere else for validation. It's a Gen Z thing now. We want to decentralize. We want to reshuffle the paradigm, I think. And I think that it's very, it's pride inducing. And I think it's a good, positive thing.
Well, actually, I was just going to ask you, what is Gen Z looking for now in the Middle East? What do they care about?
The thing is, growing up, so I'm older. I'm just turned 38. Oh my God. And so when I grew up, I always had this thing in me as an Arab, saying you're not enough. You need to go to France. You need to go to the UK. You need to go to the US to be successful. You need to have that validation. And I feel like our generation, millennials, the older millennials, are very much like this. Whereas Gen Zs, with the power of internet, they understood that they can, nurture a different identity using their own culture and still shine in their own individual way. They don't need to look like someone else, or they don't need to emulate someone else, to just be themselves. And I feel like there is a sense of pride in where those Gen Z come from, whether it's from Africa, Asia, especially the global South, that didn't really exist before. Before, we had like an inferiority complex that was really, really blatant, and that we see less of now. And it transpires in fashion, in music. Multiculturalism is now much more welcome than just the good old Western narrative that made me.
Well, you are Tunisian. You actually live in Tunis, even though Millworld is based in Dubai, which I find
Mhm.
interesting that you're Tunisian because I feel like Tunisia and North Africa in general are really underrepresented here in the Arab world. The main platforms that we talked about earlier, Vogue Arabia, um, just all the platforms are always talking about the UAE, Lebanon, Cairo, when we're talking about fashion and culture, of course. I feel like North Africa is underrepresented in a way. So, what is happening in Tunisia?
Tunisia is very much buzzing right now. I mean, we're a very young country, just like Saudi Arabia, going through a lot of changes. Obviously, the youth are spearheading those changes thanks to social media, and I feel like, yeah, Tunisia is before, because we were under dictatorship. I think creativity was never encouraged, right? So creativity brings. Brings criticism, and this is not what the dictator wanted. And now everyone is like enjoying a new sort of freedom, and the arts are booming. So it's a very, very exciting, place to be. And no, I feel like you were talking about underrepresentation in Arab media for North Africans. I don't really feel that it's the case, because we have so many, you have so many articles about LC, the graffiti artist. Hind Sabri was a major actress. She's from Tunisia as well. Dora Zarouk. All of those amazing artists are also present in GCC based. GCC-based media. I feel like it's only new that GCC-based media are covering Arabs. I don't know if you know that, especially fashion and lifestyle ones. Of course, political ones have always done it, and the ones, of course, in the Arab language have done it since the 70s, since the rise of magazines like Hia. It's fairly new, so I feel like those magazines, they're really looking across the board from Morocco to Yemen for like talented artists, and I commend them for it. Although it's new, but it's a good thing that is happening right now.
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot of preconceived ideas about Arab culture, especially as seen through the eyes of the Western world. But what are some of those stereotypes, though, that you think need to be challenged?
Well, the first one that because I'm in Tunisia right now and we have access to like some French media, the first one is everybody in the West seem to think that any women wearing a hijab has been forced to do so, when in fact it's just a religious concern. Women who wear the hijab are not well. Most of them, of course, there are families that impose the hijab on their daughters and on their wives, and that's a very bad thing to do, in my opinion. But this stereotype that the Arab woman is, first of all, thinking that Arab women are not powerful and that don't have agency in doing what they want is not true. Removing that agency from them is very harmful. to them and to the people who think that, then they would think less of us. They would think that we are just passive and powerless, which is not true. In most cases, of course, it's our societies are a bit more conservative, of course, but a lot more conservative. But it is not true to think, and especially for hijabi women, that they are, powerless, or that they are doing it under constraints, family constraints, which is not necessarily true. And this has been the debate in France. I don't know if you're following, but they want to ban the hijab for everyone. Another stereotype would be that we're not cultured and we don't have our own culture. You know what I mean? Like our wealth of patrimony and culture is so unknown, and it's so beautiful at the same time. So these are the little treasures that we need to promote more and more as Arabs and as cultural agents. So many stereotypes. No, not everyone is oil rich, unfortunately. Not everyone is a terrorist. We have such a bad rap, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. That's the list, actually. And even people in the West who are educated often have like some of these ideas that you just listed, about, all the Arabs are rich and they, women, all of the things that you listed, definitely. And I think that what you were talking about, how the Arab media now is starting to cover Arab talent in the media, this will be very important in kind of retelling the story of Arab culture on the global stage and to change people's preconceptions or misconceptions.
Absolutely. I think a country like India is so rich in culture, and they did a great job disseminating their culture. We did, I can cite so many other countries, Russia, China, Japan. In the Arab world, we've been struggling in our PR, let's say, whoever that is, has been doing a so-so job in showing our culture and all the treasures that we have. And it's our job now to take the relay and show the world what we're made of.
But how difficult is it to create authentic content that really represents the Arab youth, Gen Z, that we were talking about, the subculture, in a region that has such like a complex and really traditional social and religious constructs and laws? Is it challenging?
It's not like, there was this debate. People are like, no, it's really challenging. It's really hard to find Arab writers. It's really hard to find Arab directors. And I look at my colleagues and I'm like, I've been working in the fashion industry for 15 years and only hiring Arabs. Like, I don't see where you find the difficulty in that, because this is what I've been doing for 15 years. It's very easy to have an authentic portrayal of Gen Z or Arab in general. Just hire Arab directors. They know they're Arab. Just hire Arab photographers, Arab makeup artists. And I'm emphasizing on that, of course, because there is a lack of it. If there was no lack of it, I wouldn't imagine an American saying, hire American photographers. But in the region, if you look at all the magazines, the lifestyle and fashion magazines, they're run by English people or people from Europe. And they're not hiring Arabs. So of course it comes out disingenuous or a little postcardish. When we create something at Mille, we make sure that it's authentic, because people in front and behind the camera are from that, specific target. So of course it rings more true. Same thing for age. You wouldn't ask, your parents to have the voice of Gen Z. You would have a Gen Z, voice their opinion or their lifestyle to other Gen Zs. And this is what we do. The other thing that you mentioned, which is, conservatism, we're very much on the edge. I'm going to give you an example for the audience that doesn't know the Arab world, but you would find like a very free lawyer, woman lawyer having a family, etc. She wouldn't smoke in front of her father, for example. She wouldn't smoke cigarettes. So this is the society we live in, and we need to kind of respect that, and we need to respect our idiosyncrasies, and we need to navigate being conservative, being open-minded, being ambitious, being restricted, and this is what makes us. But if you understand the system because you are a part of it, then it's easy for you to either question it, follow it, or celebrate it. It really depends on the article or on the piece of art that you want to create.
You're on the advisory board for Fashion Trust Arabia Prize this year, alongside people like Nina Garcia, La Roche, Sarah Meno. You helped select 24 finalists out of 800 applicants, which must have been a lot of work. So what do you look for when you're sizing up the work of up-and-coming designers?
I think that for Fashion Trust Arabia to have such luminaries, such icons, first of all, the list is so long, and I don't know how Tanya Faris and Sheikh Al Mayasa did it. I mean, I know because they're such beautiful people, but to have this caliber of this roster of people looking at young talents' work is invaluable. For your question, what do I look for in a young designer while selecting them is several things. The first thing is, do I see a brand and not a collection? I don't know if you get me. Like sometimes, you can have a very nice dress, you can do a very nice collection, but I don't see a brand. What's your message? Who are you? Beyond just those, photographs that you are showing me. I think it's important nowadays to embody, values to become successful as a person. We talk about personal brand a lot, and it's even more important in fashion. So first of all, what's your brand? What's your message? Then am I going to find the same piece in fast fashion, which is what we're trying to fight? Are you designing something that is innovative? Are you designing something that is fresh? The third thing that I look when I select the finalists is, do you have a viable business? Do you understand that, fashion is at the confines of art and commerce, that, you can be the most talented designer. If you don't have a solid business plan, then you're not going to be able to produce. That's pretty much what I look at.
Those are great tips for anyone who's planning on applying in the future. So thank you for divulging your secrets. I read a really interesting little article on Milleworld.com about how the UK is banning influencers from using beauty filters when they're promoting products, including things like weight loss products. They're selling a weight loss product and then they shrink their body with a filter. The UK, authorities are saying it's false advertising. And the article suggests that Instagram as a whole might start restricting this. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. I think like if Instagram could have like a disclaimer when turning on the application saying Instagram is not real life, that would be very helpful to a lot of people. Myself having like some following on Instagram, I keep on like trying, every time I post a photo, I try to tell them, this is my best angle on my best day with a filter. This is not me. It's very, very important, I think, for those kids to understand that all of this is like, how do you call it? Fairy dust. Instagram is showing the best of the best, the highlight of the best moment of your life. So it's and a filter on top of it. So it's for sure not, something that you should compare anything else to. It's fiction. And what the UK is doing with banning filters, at least when promoting beauty creams or weight loss, at least this is a great thing. And I think we should follow suit for sure.
I think if Instagram does that as a worldwide policy, I think 99% of influencers will drop out of the scene completely. Which might be a good thing. We waste so much time looking at these people, like it's hard not to look.
This outfit is not your outfit. This car is not your car. You need to start saying those things. And most of them now in the UAE, there is a law where they need to say when it's sponsored or they get fined. They need to say, this is not my outfit, guys. This is not my car. This is not, and it's very important for mental health. Today, I was reading an interview. Eva Chen was interviewed for Fashion Trust Arabia, actually, and she was saying Eva Chen works at Instagram and is a great fashion editor. And she was saying Instagram's and my own personal goal for this year is to increase awareness on mental health. And platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all of that, they're very harmful for mental health. So they have this responsibility.
Well, it's a good subject to talk about because it is Mental Health Month. So, and it's certainly messing with a lot of people's mental health, and it's so tough for kids, coming up who don't understand that that's not how things have always been, and that that's not reality. So, I think the idea of putting disclaimers and that's the right way to go. So it's nice to see that happening. I'm glad you wrote that, like had that article. I didn't know that they were doing that.
Yeah, they're doing that. We covered it as well. The UAE laws are very strict on social media, and we also covered mental health and social media. Everything Gen Z related. I mean, we're pretty much on the pulse of what's going on. I hope so. Tooting my own horn here, yeah, mental health is very, very important. We've never talked so much about mental health in the region, let alone internationally. So it's a great thing. It's a great thing, but we're still not there, of course. It's all bells and whistles, and we kind of need to give the audience tools to understand what's real, what's fake. It was the case for fashion magazines in the 90s. It's still the case today.
Definitely. You just did this great film with Gucci. I'll let people discover it on your platform. What's coming up next? Any cool projects that you want to share with us before you go?
I mean, we have great projects. Our vision is to localize content always. So it was a great opportunity when Gucci came to us saying we have a Ramadan collection. We were like, listen, Ramadan equates to 1 fasting, 2 charity, 3 family time, 4 watching TV. And if you want to resonate with the audience as opposed to just doing something that is beautiful, just beautiful imagery, we advise you, to do a musalsal. And one of the Gucci team members was like, oh my God, this is an idea that my father had as well. I think it's a great idea. Let's do it. And it really resonated and went viral. So we're very happy. Other projects are in the same vein. It's like having a luxury brand come to our region and kind of like adapt our codes. And that's very new for luxury. And you'll see more of surprising content coming from luxury brands when it comes to Mille being the creative agency. So we're very blessed in that regard.
Sofia Guellaty, it's been a lot of fun. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much, Nadia. And thank you so much for having me on your brilliant podcast.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't miss the other 2 episodes in this series featuring Joe Arida, the Lebanese founder of La Terre est Folle, and Jordan-based designer Nafsika Skurti. Take care, everyone.